Good afternoon. This webinar offers closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, click on the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen and choose your preferred method. Welcome to the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection webinar. Please note, any website or email that I mentioned will be posted in the chat box. For those seeking business license assistance, you can visit the Small Business Center here at City Hall or call 312-74-GO-BIZ. Also, business license can be applied for or renewed online at chicagobusinessdirect.org. But if you are a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. To learn more about this program, please visit chicago.gov/business education. This webinar is being recorded and will be available at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. We'd like to encourage all attendees to ask questions. Please use the chat box to send your questions. There will be a Q&A session at the end of this presentation. At this time, I will now turn this webinar over to Jamie for us to begin. I think I'm turning it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm actually, thank you for attending CDA's Concessions 101, doing business at the airport. Today, to have us start us off, I am going to pass it to our Deputy Commissioner of Concessions here at CDA, Castalia Serna. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Good afternoon.
I think you're muted.
Thank you, Jamie. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Mayor Lori Lightfoot, Commissioner Jamie L. Reed, and the entire team at the Chicago Department of Aviation, it's my true pleasure to welcome all of you to our Concessions 101 workshop webinar. I am Castalia Serna, Deputy Commissioner of Concessions at the Chicago Department of Aviation. I'm super excited to be with you here today. As we look ahead to the rest of 2022 and into 2023, there are many exciting things happening in our airports that my team will touch upon today. But I want to take the moment to just highlight a few. With the Terminal 5 expansion well on its way, Delta Airlines has since moved into their new home in Terminal 5, where Delta guests can now find the new extravagant Delta Sky Club and Partner Lounge. We are also super excited for the new variety of concession offerings coming in 2023, such as Bar Sienna, Chick-fil-A, Burger and the Butcher, and Hampton Social, just to name a few. We are eager to provide the passenger with world-class concessions program, with a world-first concessions program at both O'Hare and Midway airports by providing the ultimate experience for both domestic and international travelers. We at the Chicago Department of Aviation always strive to be innovators in the airport ecosystem as we go all out to bring the very best in concession offerings to our world-class airports. From our restaurants and shops right up to the gates, our airports create the first and lasting impressions of our great city of Chicago. We remain dedicated on bringing opportunities to our Chicago residents. We are committed to providing equity and inclusion with our concession contracts by focusing on diversity. And we are working diligently to bring new ideas and new owners and operators into the mix. I want to let my team shine a little bit now, so I'm going to leave it there. You'll be hearing from our Rockstar Concessions team, starting with our concessions project administrators, Mark Wright, Russell Johnson, Michael Stein, and Daniel Perez. Also recently joining our CDA concessions team, we have Davin Boyd and Jamie Viramontes. We also have with us Mr. Joe Crump, Managing Director from Unison Consulting, and Yolanda Woodruff, Director of Retail Operations. They've put an extraordinary presentation for you today, which will include the following topics: O'Hare's Operations and Concessions Program, the ORD 21 expansion, Midway's Operations and Concessions Program, the process to operate concessions and the elements of a concession. And at the end, we will have time for Q&A. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions. Thank you again for your interest in operating at O'Hare and Midway airports. And with that, I'll pass it on to Daniel Perez, who will kick us off with O'Hare Operations. Daniel?
Thank you, Castalia. My name is Daniel Perez, Project Administrator with the CDA, and I will give you a look at our operations at O'Hare. O'Hare is served by nearly 50 of the world's leading airlines and is a major intra-alliance connecting gateway, including American Airlines, United Airlines, with their Star Alliance partners, and also Delta Airlines SkyTeam. O'Hare's also has multiple non-aligned airlines, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. In 2021, there were over 69 million passengers that traveled through O'Hare and Midway airports. Of that, O'Hare had approximately 54 million enplanements. O'Hare and Midway International Airports provide direct and nonstop service to 275 cities around the world. Over 50% of O'Hare's passengers have connecting flights and never leave the terminals, which it leads to a pretty great captive audience. Here's the big picture look at O'Hare airport terminals, which currently have 190 active gates. Beginning on the upper left, we have Terminal 1. Then we have Terminal 2, as you can see on the lower left, Terminal 3 in the center, and Terminal 5 on the lower right. Now we'll take a look at each terminal in a bit more detail. In Terminal 1, we have two concourses, B and C. In 2021, there were 8.3 million enplanements in Terminal 1. Major carriers include United Airlines, ANA, and Lufthansa. In Terminal 2, we have two concourses, E and F. In 2021, there were 5.1 million enplanements. Carriers include Air Canada, Alaska Airlines, JetBlue, and United Express. Terminal 3, we have four concourses, which are G, H, K, and L. Last year, they had 11 million enplanements, and some other major carriers include American Airlines, American Eagle, Cape Air, Denver Air Connection, Iberia Airlines, Japan Airlines, and Spirit Airlines. Here we have Terminal 5, which is home to the Concourse M, and a number of international and domestic carriers. Last year, they had 2.4 million enplanements. Major carriers include Delta Airlines, which Castalia mentioned earlier, moved their operations to Terminal 5 last month. Aer Lingus, Aeromexico, Air France, Air India, Emirates, Korean Air, and Southwest. And as you can see on the slide, the list goes on. And now I will touch on the O'Hare Concessions program. Airport concessions at O'Hare are broken up into the following categories. We have food and beverage, which entails brand and non-branded goods. We have specialty retail, which includes electronic products, travel accessories, apparel, jewelry, and books. And we also have meals and gifts, which includes souvenirs and convenience items. Also services, which include spa, lounges, banking, ATMs, luggage carts, and automated vending. And the last two categories are duty-free and also advertising, which includes both indoor and outdoor. This next slide is a concession performance breakdown by categories for all terminals in O'Hare. It lists figure sales from 2019, 2020, and 2021. Also listed is the total amount of stores and also the total amount of square footage for each category. We did have an increase in travel last year, which, as you can see, a positive impact on total terminal sales. As we wrap up 2022, we're looking to finish the year strong as we saw a return of travel close to 2019 numbers. This slide represents terminals 1, 2, and 3, and where each concession is located. In the next couple of slides, we'll take a look at the specific spaces. Here we have a look at Terminal 1 concessions. Starting at the top left, we have Johnston and Murphy. To the right, we have Eli's Cheesecake. And also to the right of that, we have Tortas Frontera by Rick Bayless. And the bottom, we have McDonald's, including their ordering kiosk. You can see there on the right. And also we have Berghoff Cafe, and also our newest addition, actually, the Terminal 1, we have Hudson Nonstop, which features Amazon Just Walkout technology, and it allows the customer to just swipe their credit card to enter. And when they walk out with their purchase, their card is automatically charged. And then in Terminal 2, we brought part of the United Center over with Stanley's Black Hawk's Kitchen and Tap. Also, we have Wicker Park Sushi. And to the right of that, we have Summer House. And then on the bottom left, we have Nuts on Clark, MAC Cosmetics, and also a Hudson store. And for Terminal 3, we have Cubs Bar and Grill, Publican Tavern, and also we have a shot of our H&K food court. And on the bottom left, we have our Terminal Getaway Spa. And then in the center picture there, we have a shot of our Hall of Flags, which leads into the H&K food court. And then to the right of that, we have a shot of our ice, dishes, and drink bar. Here we have a look at the concessions map of Terminal 5. Many of the up and coming locations will be covered with our next presenter, Russell, but I will give you a look at our current offerings. Here we have a look at our food court in Terminal 5, which includes RJ Grunt's, Urban Olive, and Wow Bao. And also look at the food court on the right side. Our next slide, we have Hub 51, and also to the right of that, we have a shot of our grab and go section of Goddess and the Grocer, which is located in the Terminal 5 ticketing area. We also have a shot of our mobile application Order, which launched in Terminal 5 about 2 years ago. And it gives the customer the ability to order through their mobile phone, and it will prompt them when they can pick up their order at the concessions. And we're actually in the process of bringing the service over to Terminals 1, 2, and 3. And we're actually targeting a launch next month, so stay tuned for that. And with that, I'll pass it over to Russell Johnson, who will touch on O'Hare 21. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Good afternoon. O'Hare 21 signaled the end of the O'Hare Modernization Program, called OMP. This allowed O'Hare Airport to have 6 parallel runways, 3 on both sides of the airport. We are the only airport in the world to have this configuration. O'Hare 21 is a $10 billion investment, which will take gate capacity from 190 to 220. The Terminal Area Program, or TAP, governs O'Hare 21, which includes our multimodal facility, which you can see at the top right hand, our L Stinger, which is right in the middle under the red line, our T5 extension to the bottom right, and then our Satellite 1 concourse, our Satellite 2 concourse, and our global terminal, which is on your left-hand side. Let's start with the multimodal facility. Our multimodal facility, or MMF, opened November of 2018. It houses our airport rental car operations. Also has 2,600 economy parking spaces. What you're looking at is the lobby of our MMF. Soon to have a convenient concession. We're also just recently added vending concessions to this location. Let's talk about the phases of the TAP program. In the TAP program, Terminal 5, which is currently under almost their completion, added 10 gates and 12,000 square feet of concession space. Satellite 2, which is next in the phasing, will add more gates and 30,000 square feet of concession space, slated to open in 2026. Satellite 1 will have an additional 30,000 square feet of concession space and additional gates, scheduled to open in 2027. And then finally, our crown jewel, O'Hare Global Terminal, will have multiple gates and 75,000 square feet of concession spaces, scheduled to open in 2032. Let's look at the deliverables that TAP gave us. The L Stinger, which is in the middle of your screen, added 5 gates to Concourse 3. Currently, we are developing 2 more gates to the L Stinger. The Terminal 5 expansion, which is almost complete, is on your right-hand side. And again, the Satellite 1 concourse, the Satellite 2 concourse, and the Global Terminal are soon to come. Let's look at Terminal 5. Terminal 5 expansion broke ground in March 2019. This is a $1.2 billion investment, which brought 350,000 square feet to Terminal 5. Gave us 25% more gate capacity. It also renovated, as we mentioned before, 750,000 square feet for the home of Delta Airlines. We added 70% more lounge space and 75% more concession space. Most recently, if you can see right in the middle of the picture, we started construction on the T5 6-story parking garage. What you're looking at now is a conceptual drawing of the east extension of T5, where the 10 new gates are located. What you see in this drawing is all of T5. On the far west part of the concourse are the 11 new gates of Delta's home. Let's look at T5 concessions. T5 concessions currently has 16 concession locations under development. Later phases will add 7 more concession spaces. Maybe one of you can develop one of these spaces. This month, an RFP will go out, request for proposal, which will be available for a T5 bar concept. You can find out more about this RFP and how to get alerts about concessions later in this presentation. What you're seeing now is the conceptual drawing of what the inside of our new T5 extension looks like. Some of our T5 concessions under development are Chick-fil-A, scheduled to open second quarter 2023. Hampton Socials, snuggled right between Delta's hold rooms, is scheduled to open second quarter 2023. Sparrow Coffee, also next to Delta hold rooms, is scheduled to open first quarter 2023. In Motion Boulevard Branch, which is a dual retail concept in T5's East Extension, is scheduled to open second quarter 2023. Butcher the Burger, located at the beginning of the T5 East Extension, is also scheduled to open second quarter 2023. I will close by showing you our designs for our Satellite 1, Satellite 2, and O'Hare Global Terminals. Next up is Mark Wright to tell you a little bit about Midway International Airport's concessions.
Thank you, Russell. We'll start off with our first side, airport passengers and operations. Midway International Airport is a leading airport for point-to-point air service in the U.S. Prior to COVID-19, Midway served close to 22 million passengers in 2019, 8 million in 2020, and 16 million in 2021, and steadily increasing in 2022. Southwest Airlines represents 90% of capacity at Midway now. Top destinations include Orlando, Phoenix, Atlanta, and Las Vegas. As of November of this year, Midway has approximately 224 daily direct flights scheduled to 75 U.S. destinations and 10 daily direct flights to 11 international destinations. Also, as of November this year, monthly passenger traffic through the TSA checkpoint is roughly 90% compared to 2019. This slide represents Midway's 7 commercial airlines with 43 active gates. The biggest names, as you see, include Southwest, which is 90% of the capacity at Midway, Delta, Frontier, and Volaris. Now I'll talk a little bit about Midway Modernization Program. The Midway Modernization Program is a $333 million program and the first terminal investment in nearly 2 decades. Completed in 2020, the Passenger Security Checkpoint Expansion Project took the bridge over Cicero Avenue from 50 feet to 400 feet, which increased the queuing area to roughly 80,000 square feet. The Terminal Parking Garage Enhancement Project modernized elevators, added electrical vehicle charging stations, and made improvements to the exit plaza, just to name a few. The Concessions redevelopment program was designed to offer passengers new and improved choices for shopping and dining, services, and amenities. I will dig a little bit deeper into the Concessions program. Midway Concessions redevelopment program features iconic Chicago establishments and brands, as well as nationally recognized products and services. Midway Partnership was selected as the developer operator for the program through an RFP process, which was approved in 2017, and is investing $75 million to renovate and expand the food and beverage offerings, news and gifts, specialty retail, and personal service and other public amenities. The redevelopment will double the permanent jobs from 700 to 1,400, and the program's footprint will increase from 44,000 to over 70,000 square feet. Presently, there have been 30 new concession units constructed, with an additional 2 to be added in December of 2022. This next slide, the Midway Concessions performance by category. Here you can see sales performance and square footage for each category of food and beverage, news and gifts, specialty retail, services, and indoor advertising. You can see in the food and beverage category, starting from 2019 pre-COVID, how sales were approximately 89 million, and then a drop in sales due to COVID in 2020 to approximately 32 million, and an uptick in 2021 to approximately 62 million. This trend was felt in all categories. However, in 2021 and now in 2022, we have seen tremendous growth and are trending upwards with the goal of reaching 2021 level and beyond. This next slide is our Midway Concessions redevelopment new units. There are 30 new locations featuring 22 brands to the airport. One location, Big Bowl, was set to open in 2019, but due to COVID, they weren't able to. Their grand opening will be next week on November 21st. Then in December of 2022, we will welcome the addition of Garrett's Popcorn and the Orange Line Restaurant and Bar. This last slide just shows some of the new food and beverage and retail locations, starting with Sarah's Candies at the top, Harry Carey's in the middle, and Hudson Nonstop. And then on the bottom, we have Hubbard Inn, Nuts on Clark, and Tallboy Taco. I will now hand it over to Michael Stein, who will present information on the process to operate a concession.
Thanks, Mark. Good afternoon, my name is Michael Stein. I'm also a project administrator for CDA, and I'll be explaining the process to operate a concession here at the airports. Companies have several ways to operate as a concessionaire. Option 1, you can operate as a single operator. This is where you lease space directly from the airport. Option 2 is called a joint venture. This is where a company forms a partnership with another company to lease and operate a concession. And lastly, option 3. This is where you can operate as a subtenant. Your company leases from a larger concessionaire and operates as their subtenant. The next step is you would need to determine how you would operate. There's also a couple options. Option 1, you can operate under a franchise agreement with companies like McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts. Option 2, you can enter into a lease agreement with brands like Frontera Grill, Harry Carey's, or Publican. Option 3, you can operate as a regional or local brand, where you bring a neighborhood favorite like Billy Goat Tavern, Nuts on Clark, or Burgrock here to the airport. And lastly, option 4, you can operate as your own unique airport concept that only exists at the airports, like Ice Bar and Chicago Cubs Bar and Grill. This next slide identifies the steps it takes to become a concessionaire at the airport. First, CDA identifies a location available for lease. Next, CDA will issue a request for proposal, also known as an RFP. Then respondents prepare and properly submit their proposals. CDA will evaluate the responses submitted and select a concessionaire from the group. Then the selected concessionaire and CDA will finalize our lease agreement together. After that, CDA would need to seek approval from City Council. Once approved, the concessionaire will begin the construction phase, where they have to submit their construction plans to CDA's construction and design team for review and approval. Once it's approved, then the concessionaire can begin construction, which would include filing for all your permits, passing all city inspections. And then you can open for business here at the airport. The goals of our concession program are to optimize revenues for the airports and for the local economy. We want maximization of ACDBE participation. We want to provide opportunities for local brands and local providers. We would like to have high quality products and services, high quality facility designs, and we also want to promote environmental sustainability. We're always looking to increase the offerings here at the airport. And of course, we want to highlight the Chicago character to the traveling public. And of course, we want to have first-class customer service, fair pricing for the traveling public, and also for our employees who work at the airport. Some of the things you need to consider when you're operating at the airport is determining the hours of operation and how to schedule your team of employees to properly have adequate coverage. You also be prepared to properly follow all the badging and security requirements here at the airports. You need to consider how your employees will be getting to work so you have a stable workforce. Will they be taking public transportation or parking in one of our employee parking lots? And will you reimburse them for these costs, or is this something you expect them to pay for? And finally, one of the most challenging things is you need to think through your logistics. You need to have the most effective way to have your goods delivered and stored and taken to your store. And then you have to think out the most effective way to have your waste and recyclables removed from your location. Next, I'll hand it off to Yolanda.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Yolanda Woodruff. I am the Director of Retail Operations for Unison Consulting. And today we'll talk a little bit about elements of a proposal. Now, elements of a proposal for your response, it can be very detailed. And as you can see from this list, it is quite extensive, those proposal elements. The cover letter should identify the RFP to which you are submitting your proposal. Your experience and qualifications should tell the story as to why you are qualified to operate a concession at O'Hare or Midway, espousing your expertise in the area you are proposing. The selection committee will pay close attention to the management plan, development plan, ACDBE participation plan, your references, your general business information, and financial statements when evaluating your submitted proposal. The selection committee wants to be certain that the proposed concession entrant has the wherewithal to operate in the high-volume, fast-paced airport environment. Exceptions relate to specific items in the license agreement that you request to be changed, rephrased, or omitted. The selection committee will also evaluate if the potential concession entrant meets the minimum qualifications. At a minimum, the potential concession entrant must have a specific number of years of experience operating the concept in which they are proposing to operate at the airport, with a minimum amount of average sales receipts during a specified period of time. This information is also used to gauge the potential concession entrant's ability to meet the capital improvement costs associated with operating a concession in an airport environment. And of course, the selection committee will also look closely at the ACDBE plan to ensure the CFR 49 Part 23 goal requirements are also being met. Now, you're probably wondering, what is CFR 49 Part 23 and what is ACDBE? That is something we will discuss in a later slide. Quite often, the ACDBE goal will be stated in the RFP and is required to be met in full or by demonstrating good faith efforts that the goal cannot be met. This is an example of compensation to the city. Keep in mind that bids are not awarded to the highest bidder, and these fees are more than likely to be stated in the RFP, either as a range or as a set amount. The base rent rate per square foot will escalate at 3% each year. For example, if the base rent in 2021 is $50 per square foot, then the base rent in 2022 will be $50 plus $1.50, or 3% of $50, which is equal to $51.50 for the next year. The license fee is the greater of the percentage fee or the minimum annual guarantee fee. We will see an example of this in a later slide. The marketing fee is 0.5% of gross sales, and the central distribution fee will be determined based on facility costs, but will generally be 1% to 2% of gross sales. At this time, there is no distribution center at O'Hare, but it is under consideration. Here are the basic terms and fees associated with the multiple types of concepts that one can operate at the airport. The terms are specific to allow for the amortization of the build-out costs and over the estimated useful life of other improvements installed at build-out. As you see here, there is a range for the proposed percentage rent. And remember, the contract is not awarded to the highest bidder. Here are the basic terms and fees associated with the concept categories. Once again, the terms are specific to allow for the amortization of the build-out costs and over the estimated useful life of other improvements installed at build-out. And always remember that the range is in the proposal for the percentage fee. And the contract is not awarded to the highest bidder. So if you plan on attempting to win the bid based on your high percent rent, that is not how the bids are evaluated. Here is that example of the minimum annual guarantee fee. The minimum annual guarantee fee is usually set in the RFP, and the percentage fee is usually stated as a range. When making the decision on how much of your revenue you are willing to share, you must consider that if you make $0, you will still be required to pay the minimum annual guarantee fee and not the lesser of the percentage fee and the MAG. Take, for instance, this example. If the percentage fee is less than the MAG is due as payment. If you exceed the MAG, then the greater amount is due as payment. Other considerations when considering compensation for the operation of a concession at the airport include leasehold taxes, individually metered utilities, a security deposit, which is equal to 6 months of the minimum annual guarantee, and build-out costs, which can be upwards of $1,000 per square foot of leased space. The airports have developed a strict value pricing strategy that ensures pricing at the airports will not exceed the average prices charged in downtown Chicago. The airports have also developed a strict sustainability strategy that each concession operator must adopt and include in their day-to-day operations. Green initiatives include the reduction in the use of plastics and styrofoam, with those plastic and styrofoam products being replaced by green compostable items to ensure a healthy experience for the passenger, the employee, and the environment. Now let's talk about the Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program and Plan. A firm is considered to be an ACDBE firm if it meets the criteria of being 51% owned and managed by a socially and economically disadvantaged individual. The ACDBE goal is set in the RFP. An ACDBE plan, therefore, must be included with the proposal. The ACDBE certified firm must be certified at the time of proposal submittal, or the proposal will be marked non-responsive if good faith efforts have not been demonstrated to achieve the ACDBE goal set in the RFP. Now, airport concessions programs are subject to federal regulations. That's the CFR that we spoke about earlier. An ACDBE goal is established for each request for proposal. The ACDBE goal must be fulfilled by a concessionaire through several ways: direct ownership, joint venture partnership, the purchase of goods and services. And remember, the proposal will be deemed non-responsive because the ACDBE section of the proposal is either pass or fail. The respondent must either satisfy the goal stated in the RFP or must show good faith efforts as to why the goal cannot be satisfied. Here is information on how certified. And for more information, please visit the City of Chicago Department of Procurement Services website or the Illinois Department of Transportation's website using the links noted here. The Department of Procurement Services also holds a quarterly workshop on how to become certified. Here is some key information. For notifications regarding upcoming RFPs, please be sure to sign up for the CDA web alerts, and you will be among the first businesses to learn of the RFP release. Proposals are typically due 90 days after posting, but be sure to sign up for the CDA web alerts because this time period can be variable. So please stay aware of the due date and time as changes may occur. A pre-proposal meeting will more than likely take place shortly after the RFP is posted. Be sure to attend this meeting, which will provide additional information that may not be stated in the proposal documents. The pre-proposal meeting may also allow for tours of the proposed spaces. The RFP will specify a deadline for the submission of questions. All questions must be submitted in writing, and answers will be provided in an addendum to the RFP. We will also see additional resources here. The Airport Minority Advisory Council, which is the only nonprofit national organization dedicated to the inclusion of women and minorities in airport contracting. Airport Experience News, which is another trade organization dedicated to the airport concession experience. Airport Council International, which is an additional trade resource. And of course, the City of Chicago, the Department of Aviation, as well as some other resources, which includes Midway Partnership for operations at Midway Airport, as well as the City of Chicago Minimum Wage Ordinance, which does affect our concession partners at both O'Hare and Midway International Airports. Be sure to sign up for the CDA web alerts at flychicago.com/sign up, and you will be among the first businesses to be notified about bids, the pre-bid conference, and any upcoming concessionaire workshops, symposiums, and other events. Thank you for joining us today, and we will have Deputy Commissioner Castalia Serna tell us more about some of our upcoming outreach events for O'Hare and Midway International Airports.
Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, everyone, again for being part of this exciting initiative that's taking place. As a matter of fact, this coming Friday, we have an airport expo that's going to be taking place in Chicago at the UIC Forum. That's this Friday, the 18th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So please join us there. It's an opportunity for all of you to have some face-to-face conversations with many of our team members, many of our partners.
Thank you, Castalia. So at this time, we'll take any questions that you may have.
We have some questions. No, just a lot of okay, we do. Here we are. Hello, I wanted to know, is it the same process if you are interested in opening a vending machine business at O'Hare?
Yes, it is the same bid process. So it is an open bid process to operate a concession, even a vending concession at O'Hare Midway Airport.
I want to go ahead and reiterate the information that Yolanda shared with everyone. It's imperative that you sign up for alerts via flychicago.com/sign up. It's super important. And if you have additional questions, we also have that stated on the, presentation here.
Please repeat the location of the event for this Friday.
So the event will be held this Friday, November 18th at the UIC Forum located at, I believe, 725 South West Halsted Street.
West Reader.
Okay, it's the UIC Forum, guys,
I'm Halston.
on Halsted Street.
Steps away from,
Halsted and Roosevelt?
steps away from UIC.
Yes, it's 725 West Roosevelt.
Okay, 725 West Roosevelt. There's also a Halsted address as well.
1213 South Halsted.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How accurate or updated is the build out cost of $1,000 square feet?
Yeah, that is actually an estimate of some of our build out costs during 2021. And we had a few build outs in 2022. That number has not been adjusted for 2022 costs. So of course, do not be conservative when looking at that number. It might be anywhere between $1,200 to $1,300 at this time.
They're saying, thank you for this presentation. Great information. Thank you again. When do you anticipate gaming as an entertainment in the airports?
Gaming, that is something that is still under negotiation. There is no date that has been set.
Is there a program that offers helps with proposals?
We don't have an airport program that helps individuals with submitting their proposal, and that's a really good idea. A proposal workshop would be a great idea. However, there are many resources. So there are many resources for individuals to use to actually take a look at some people or get connected with some people who write proposals. But if you want to become familiar with an actual RFP, you can find those on our website at flychicago.com under doing business with the city, under that particular link, and it will lead you to previously issued RFPs so that you have a really good idea of the information that's required to submit the proposal.
Does the seats, sorry.
Stella, I see someone asking information for the 19th. The event is Friday, the 18th at the UIC Forum. To find out more about that event, please visit our website at flychicago.com.
We're sharing that information on the chat with
But
everyone.
yeah, put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Does
Okay, I see another
CDA
question.
You see it? Are you in the chat or the Q&A box?
Chat, we're looking
Okay.
at chat. And someone's asking about residency to open a business at the airport.
Okay, yeah, you got some questions in the Q&A box as well.
Okay. So I wanted to approach that question about residency. It's not required for you to be a City of Chicago resident to operate a concession at the airport. As a matter of fact, we have many businesses operating here that are operating on a national level. I see another question. Are we able to share the slide deck? The presentation was recorded and will be available on the BACP website.
Go to the question from Tracy, because we did the other ones. Do CDA have a customer loyalty and redemption platform? You see that one?
A
In the chat,
customer,
in the Q&A.
a customer loyalty and redemption platform centralized to work with all vendors within the airport. Oh, that's a really good question. I know that there are, the redemption platform and customer loyalty are two different platforms, but right now O'Hare and Midway don't use a platform like a Thanks Again or something like that you may see at other airports, but it is something that O'Hare and Midway has considered. Okay, and another thing to add to that question as far as loyalty and redemption programs, a lot of our concessionaires actually have their own programs that they run. We try to make sure that we honor those programs. We try to make sure that they offer as many of those discounts and redemption and loyalty types of programs. A lot of our concessionaires may have a punch card program in place. A lot of our concessionaires may actually take the app, such as like the Starbucks loyalty app, things of that nature. So you will see our concessionaires using those, but the airport itself does not have a program in place. So I see a question from, let's see, I'm going to take this one from the chat. Is the airport open to having a travel agency present at the airport? We have, since I have been here since 1997, I have never seen a travel agency located here at the airport. And I don't know if that was something that was done in prior years, and it has not come up as an option for an RFP concept. So I'm not sure if that's even something that the airport is considering right now. Travel agent for people, and you're asking because of people being stuck at the airport. And generally what happens is the airline itself will rebook passengers. So they have the service to provide to a passenger that may be stranded or stuck at the airport. Let's see. On-site point of care COVID and flu testing. Yes, we currently have on-site point of care COVID and flu testing, and we have had it since 2020. It's been available here. Okay, are startup companies without a history of financial reports allowed to submit a proposal? There are minimum qualifications. And in the proposal, it kind of in the presentation, it talked a little bit about those minimum qualifications. And those minimum qualifications are put in place to make sure that the entity that is chosen to operate at the airport has the capability and the capacity to operate in this environment. So if you have not operated within the area of the concept that you're proposing for a number of years with the minimum level of revenues generated, it's safe to say that you may not be selected to run that concept if you were to propose during an RFP. I see another question about selling clothing. Is there consideration for the sale of clothing? What category would that fall into? So that would be in the retail category. It could possibly fall into the lifestyle category. It depends on what types of clothing you're actually selling. And yes, we do have a clothier, if you will, Johnston and Murphy, which was highlighted in one of the slides. They are actually one of our high-end clothiers, along with Brooks Brothers that currently operates here at O'Hare and sells clothing. We also have a Tally location that sells jewelry as well as some other clothing accessories. Shy Boys will also offer clothing. And so that clothing might even fall into a lifestyle category if you're doing outdoor wear, swimwear, or what have you. But we do have some clothiers currently operating. Considering some areas, the proposal may not apply to a vending machine business. For example, the remodeling section, does that change the selection process for vending machine operators? So this is the question. Considering some areas of the proposal may not apply to a vending machine business, for example, the remodeling section, does that change the selection process for vending machine operators? It does not really change the selection process, but it would change the move-in process for that operator. You'd be able to, you'd have to hire the appropriate team to bring your machines in, make sure that they are compliant. So you would have to have some inspections on those machines. The buildings department would have to actually approve those machines. The fire department would have to approve those machines. So yes, there are some different elements to a vending operation. You are correct. How many RFPs and for how many spaces at O'Hare do you expect to release over the next year?
That is in conversation and to be determined.
So that will be determined. And just to give you guys a good idea, sometimes the RFPs are released with packages. And those packages within that RFP may contain 2 locations, 3 locations, 10 locations, 1 location. I think Russell mentioned something about a bar location that will be released in an RFP. So that's an example of how an RFP could be released. So there's no cut and dry standard that says that each RFP will have X number of locations.
The bar concept for RFP that will be coming out at the T5 extension between gates M30 and M35, which is currently a house for Southwest Airlines.
Melissa, we hope that answered your question. Ooh, this is a good, Maritza, this is a really good question. Is the airport open for food trucks? Small businesses bringing food to sell via food trucks. We will let Mark Wright answer that question.
We do have a food truck program, but it's not to sell food to passengers coming or going. The food truck program is specifically a sign-up type of program that's open to in our cab lot and our TMP lot to Uber and Lyft passengers. It's not a first come, first serve type of thing. You can find information on flychicago.org O'Hare under food trucks, and it'll give you all the details you need to know in terms of signing up and that type of thing.
Mhm. What time of year do you usually do the food trucks? Is it you have to rent your space? How does that work?
It's a cost for a year and a cost for 6 months. You get the space for a week at a time, depending on how many food trucks are taking part in it. There's some trucks that have been here during the winter every week because nobody else, signed up for the program. So it's kind of different every month.
Okay, can you scroll up on the chat? What is that? Happy to partner with food. Oh. So, Tracy, I don't know if you had asked the previous question about loyalty and redemption programs. You service food and beverage loyalty in stadium arenas or focuses consumer engagement and retention. Okay, so you're happy to partner with the food and beverage operators. A listing of our currently operating food and beverage operators can be found on flychicago.com under Eat, Shop, and More. So feel free to reach out to those operators.
And so a lot of our operators will be at the expo on Friday as well.
Yes. All right, Stella, were there any other questions?
I'm going through them. I'm in the Q&A box.
Okay.
There's some questions in this Q&A box.
Oh, here's one. Is there a possibility of a florist having a concession at the airport? Now, previously, we did have a florist that was located over in the Hilton Hotel that's attached to the airport, the Hilton O'Hare, and they did some pretty decent business. Now we have our concessionaires that actually have floral coolers. Some of our concessionaires actually have floral coolers. So I don't see a florist being a concept that the airport would be considering in the near future. But it's a possibility that they may consider that sometime down the line. Okay, Alicia, you're asking, do we have any idea of when the RFP would come out? Are you talking about the T5 bar space RFP?
Alicia, I would suggest just to make sure that you are signed up for alerts. All of our RFPs are announced on our alerts, so you'll be the first one to find out when they are out. They come out at sporadic time. We do have a lot of development going on for the next several years, and that is probably the best way for you to find out what's coming up and to prepare yourself.
To sign up to receive the RFPs, it's just very basic information. First name, last name, email address, and then when the RFP is released, you'll get an automatic email prompting you to go to the flychicago.com website, and you can look up what the RFP is that's being offered.
Do you see the rest of the questions in the chat box? Not the chat box, the Q&A box?
Q&A box. So that was the last question about the floral, about.
Okay, yeah.
florist. Are there any other questions?
Did you ever answer the food truck question?
Yes.
Okay, so if you guys don't have any more questions, we can conclude today's webinar. Thank you so much for today's presentation. It was very, very informative. To learn more about our upcoming webinars, please visit chicago.gov/business education. To receive credit for today's webinar, please send an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. Again, that email address is bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. Thank you and see you next time.
Now,
A special thank you to Stella Natufa with BACP and the entire team at BACP for hosting. We want to take this opportunity. I think we have additional questions.
Yeah, we're getting questions as we're closing out. So a karaoke bar, that sounds like lifestyle entertainment. I'm not sure what the RFP will hold, but sign up for the CDA web alerts and you'll find out. Luggage store, that is something that we have had in the past. So sign up for the CDA web alerts to find out if a luggage store is also one of the concepts. For suppliers, specifically liquor suppliers looking to have Chicago-based brand, have a presence at the airports. Once again, our currently operating concessionaires are listed on the flychicago.com website under Eat, Shop, and More. And you can reach out directly to those operating and inquire about becoming their supplier. Oh, or a place to luggage or a place to shower or nap. Interesting. Once again, stay tuned for that. Sign up for the CDA web alerts and just be on top of the next RFP that comes out because that concept just might be included.
Thank you.
Questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On behalf of Mayor Lori Lightfoot, Commissioner Reed, myself, Casalia Serna, and our entire fabulous concessions team, we want to thank you for joining today and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you again. To see this webinar again, you can log onto our YouTube page. That's at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.